Welcome to this special story. Today, we will learn about a man who became one of the most famous leaders in the world, Donald Trump. Some people like Donald Trump. Some people do not. In this video, we will not judge. We will tell his story clearly and simply, so you can learn and decide for yourself. Let's begin. Chapter 1. A Boy from New York. Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, in Queens, a busy part of New York City, in the United States. He was the fourth of 5 children in the Trump family. His father, Fred Trump, was a serious and strict man. He worked in real estate. He built houses and apartment buildings. His mother, Mary Ann MacLeod Trump, came from Scotland. She was kind but quiet, and she became very sick when Donald was just 2 years old. For a time, she could not care for him, and this made Donald feel lonely and confused. Donald grew up in a large house with his brothers and sisters, Mary Ann, Fred Jr., Elizabeth, and Robert. The Trump family had money, but Fred wanted his children to be strong and successful. He taught them that life was a competition. He often said, "There are winners and losers. You must be a winner." As a child, Donald was full of energy. He liked to talk loudly, take risks, and break rules. At his first school, Forest School, he sometimes got into trouble. He once rode between cars on the street, which was very dangerous. His father worried that Donald was too wild and needed discipline. So, when Donald was 13 years old, his parents sent him to a strict school called the New York Military Academy. It was far from home, and Donald had to wear a uniform, follow rules, and live with other boys. First, it was hard. The teachers were tough. If Donald misbehaved, he was punished. One classmate said, "You got hit. You may have gotten slammed against the wall." But Donald began to change. He liked the challenge. He liked being in charge. He became a strong student and a leader. In his final year, he was made a cadet captain, a top position. He gave orders and helped keep discipline. But after a short time, he was removed from that role. Some said he was too harsh. Even though Donald was not always popular, he enjoyed the competition. He wanted to win. He wanted to be noticed. The military school gave him a new kind of confidence. It taught him how to act like a leader, even if others didn't always agree with him. After 5 years at the academy, Donald graduated in 1964. He then went to Fordham University in New York for 2 years. Later, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, where he studied economics at the Wharton School, a famous business school. He finished his degree in 1968. During this time, there was a war in Vietnam. Many young men were sent to fight. Donald did not go. He received student deferments and 1 medical deferment, which allowed him to stay home. After college, Donald joined his father's company. He wanted to grow the business and become famous. He was ready to start his journey, from a bold boy in Queens to a man who would one day lead a country. Chapter 2. Building a Name in Business. After finishing university in 1968, Donald Trump started working with his father in New York City. His father's company built homes for families in Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. Donald was interested in business, but he wanted more than small houses. He dreamed of big buildings, famous places, and a powerful name. He wanted to build in Manhattan, the center of New York. Donald learned quickly. He visited construction sites, talked to workers, and studied how to make deals. He was confident and liked to take risks. In 1971, he became the head of the company and changed its name to the Trump Organization. This was the beginning of his own business journey. One of Donald's first big projects was an old hotel called the Commodore Hotel. It was empty and losing money. Many people thought it was a bad idea to buy it, but Donald believed he could make it successful. He made a deal with the city and a hotel company called Hyatt. Together, they rebuilt the hotel and gave it a new name, the Grand Hyatt. It opened in 1980 and became popular. People started to notice Donald Trump. He was young, bold, and full of ambition. After the hotel, Donald wanted to build something even bigger. He planned a tall building made of glass and steel in the middle of Manhattan. It would have shops, offices, and luxury apartments. He called it Trump Tower. The building opened in 1983 on Fifth Avenue, one of the most famous streets in New York. It was shiny, expensive, and full of gold decorations. Donald lived in the top apartment, which was large and full of golden furniture. Trump Tower became a symbol of wealth and success. Tourists came to visit, and Donald became more famous. In the 1980s, Donald continued to grow his business. He started building casinos in Atlantic City, a city known for gambling. He opened places like Trump Plaza, Trump Castle, and Trump Taj Mahal. At first, the casinos made money, but later they had problems. Donald borrowed a lot of money to build them, and some of his businesses lost money. He had to sell some properties and make deals with banks to stay in business. Even with these problems, Donald stayed in the public eye. He wrote books, gave interviews, and talked about winning. He believed in thinking big and showing strength. He said that success was about confidence and never giving up. Donald Trump was not just a businessman. He was becoming a celebrity. He appeared on television, in magazines, and at big events. People had different opinions about him. Some admired his energy and success. Others thought he was too proud. But one thing was clear. Donald Trump knew how to make people talk about him. He was building more than buildings, he was building a name. Chapter 3: Trouble and Fame. In the early 1990s, Donald Trump faced serious problems. His businesses were in trouble. The economy in the United States was slowing down, and many people were losing money. Donald had borrowed a lot of money to build hotels, casinos, and other buildings. Now, it was hard to pay back the banks. His casinos in Atlantic City were not making enough money. One of them, the Trump Taj Mahal, was very expensive to build. In 1991, it went bankrupt. This means the business could not pay its debts. It was the first of several bankruptcies Donald would face during this time. Donald also had problems with other properties. He had a big debt, more than $3 billion. Some newspapers made jokes about him. One headline said, UHOWE, to show how much money he owed. In an interview, Donald said that a man asking for money on the street was worth more than me right now. At the same time, Donald's personal life was changing. His marriage with Ivana Trump was ending. They divorced in 1992. People talked about his new relationship with Marla Maples, who later became his second wife. The media followed his love life closely, and Donald did not hide from the cameras. Even with all these problems, Donald stayed in the spotlight. He gave interviews and appeared on television. He talked about his business, his ideas, and his image. He wanted people to see him as strong, smart, and successful, even when things were hard. Donald also began to think about politics. In 1999, he created a group to explore the idea of running for president. He did not continue with the campaign, but people started to see him not just as a businessman, but as someone who might lead the country one day. During the 1990s, Donald Trump changed. He was no longer just a builder of buildings. He became a builder of his own image. He used the media to stay famous. He learned how to speak to the public, how to create attention, and how to turn problems into stories. This chapter of his life was full of ups and downs. He lost money, faced criticism, and went through personal changes. But he did not give up. He kept going, kept talking, and kept building his name. Chapter 4: A Star on Television. In the early 2000s, Donald Trump was still known as a businessman, but he wanted something more. He wanted to be seen not just in newspapers, but in homes across America. He wanted to be on television. In 2004, Donald became the host of a new reality show called The Apprentice. It was a business competition. Each season, a group of men and women came to New York City to work on business tasks. They sold products, created advertisements, and tried to make money. At the end of each episode, Donald sat in a big chair and judged their work. If someone failed, he pointed at them and said his famous line, "You're fired." The show was a big success. Millions of people watched it every week. They saw Donald Trump as a strong leader, a smart businessman, and a person who knew how to make decisions. His catchphrase became popular. People said it at school, at work, and even in jokes. The Apprentice helped Donald rebuild his image. In the 1990s, he had faced financial problems. But now, on television, he looked powerful and rich. The show showed his buildings, his office, and his lifestyle. It made him look like a winner. Donald used this new fame to grow his brand. He put his name on many things. Buildings, clothes, water bottles, and even steaks. He didn't always own these products. But companies paid him to use his name. People saw Trump and thought of success. He also became more active in the media. He gave interviews, appeared on talk shows, and even made small appearances in movies and TV shows. He was not afraid to speak his mind. He talked about money, business, and sometimes politics. Some people liked his bold style. Others thought he was too proud. But everyone knew his name. During this time, Donald also wrote books. One of his most famous books was The Art of the Deal. In it, he shared his ideas about business and success. He said that thinking big, taking risks, and believing in yourself were the keys to winning. Donald's personal life also continued to change. He divorced his second wife, Marla Maples, and later married Melania Naus, a model from Slovenia. In 2006, they had a son named Barron. By the end of the 2000s, Donald Trump was more than a businessman. He was a celebrity, a brand, and a voice in American culture. He had used television to become famous again. And slowly, he began to talk more about politics and leadership. He was preparing for something bigger. Chapter 5, Running for President. In June 2015, Donald Trump stood inside Trump Tower in New York City and made a big announcement. He said, "I am running for President of the United States." Many people were surprised. Donald was a businessman and a television star, not a politician. But he believed he could lead the country. His campaign slogan was, "Make America Great Again." He wore a red hat with these words. He said the country had problems and needed strong leadership. He promised to bring back jobs, protect borders, and make the economy grow. At first, many people did not take him seriously. There were many other candidates in the Republican Party, experienced politicians with long careers. But Donald spoke in a different way. He used simple words. He talked directly to people. He said what he thought, even if it was controversial. Some people liked this. They felt he was honest and bold. Others thought he was rude or too extreme. Donald used social media, especially Twitter, to share his ideas. He posted messages every day. He attacked his opponents, shared news, and spoke to millions of followers. He also held big rallies across the country. Thousands of people came to hear him speak. He talked about building a wall between the U.S. and Mexico, stopping illegal immigration, and protecting American workers. Slowly, Donald Trump became the most popular Republican candidate. He won many state elections. In May 2016, he became the official nominee of the Republican Party. His running mate was Mike Pence, the governor of Indiana. The final election was on November 8, 2016. Donald Trump ran against Hillary Clinton, the Democratic candidate. She had been First Lady, a senator, and Secretary of State. Many people thought she would win. But Donald's message reached many voters, especially in small towns and rural areas. On election night, the results shocked the world. Donald Trump won the election. He received enough votes in key states like Florida, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. He became the 45th President of the United States. Some people celebrated. They believed he would bring change. Others were upset and worried. His victory showed that America was deeply divided. But Donald Trump had done something few expected. He had gone from businessman to president. On January 20, 2017, Donald Trump stood in front of the U.S. Capitol and took the oath of office. He promised to serve the country and protect its people. His journey had reached a new chapter. Chapter 6, Life in the White House. On January 20, 2017, Donald Trump became the 45th President of the United States. He stood outside the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., placed his hand on the Bible, and took the oath of office. He promised to protect the country and serve the people. His speech was strong and serious. He said, "From this day forward, it's going to be only America first." Donald Trump entered the White House with big plans. He wanted to change many things. He said the government was too slow and too weak. He wanted to make it faster, stronger, and more focused on American workers. One of his first actions was to stop the United States from joining a trade deal called the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He believed it was bad for American jobs. He also worked to change rules about immigration. He wanted to build a wall between the US and Mexico to stop illegal immigration. This idea became one of the most famous parts of his presidency. Donald also signed many executive orders. These are special decisions a president can make without Congress. Some of these orders changed environmental rules, healthcare laws, and business regulations. Supporters said he was making the country stronger. Critics said he was moving too fast and not listening to experts. In 2017 and 2018, Donald faced many protests. After his inauguration, millions of people joined the Women's March to show their disagreement with his ideas. Other protests happened when he banned travel from several Muslim-majority countries. Some people said this was unfair and hurt families. Others said it was needed for safety. Donald Trump also had strong opinions about the media. He often said that newspapers and TV stations were unfair to him. He used Twitter to speak directly to the public. He posted messages every day, sharing his thoughts, announcing decisions, and sometimes criticizing others. In 2019, Donald Trump was impeached for the first time. This means Congress accused him of doing something wrong. They said he had asked Ukraine to investigate his political opponent. The Senate held a trial and decided not to remove him from office. In 2021, he was impeached a second time, after a violent attack on the Capitol building by some of his supporters. Again, the Senate did not remove him. During his presidency, Donald made changes to taxes, trade, and foreign policy. He met with leaders from North Korea, China, and Russia. He also removed the U.S. from the Iran nuclear deal. His decisions were often bold and surprising. Some people praised him for being strong. Others worried about the long-term effects. In 2020, the world faced a new challenge: COVID-19. The virus spread quickly and caused many deaths. Donald Trump's response was criticized by some and supported by others. He spoke often about the virus, the economy, and vaccines. The pandemic became a major issue in the 2020 election. Donald Trump lost the election to Joe Biden in November 2020. He disagreed with the results and said the election was unfair. Many of his supporters believed him. On January 6, 2021, a group of them attacked the Capitol building. It was a shocking moment in American history. On January 20, 2021, Donald Trump left the White House. His presidency was over, but his influence remained strong. He had changed the way people saw politics, leadership, and communication. His time in office was full of action, debate, and emotion. Chapter 7, After the Presidency and Back Again. When Donald Trump left the White House in January 2021, many people wondered what he would do next. He was no longer president, but he still had millions of supporters. Some believed his time in politics was over. Others believed he would return. Trump moved to Florida and stayed active. He gave speeches, held rallies, and continued to share his views. Even though social media companies blocked his accounts, he found new ways to speak to the public. He started his own platform and kept talking about the 2020 election. He said it had been unfair, even though many courts and officials said it was not. During this time, Trump faced many legal problems. Investigators looked into his business, his taxes, and his actions during the Capitol attack on January 6, 2021. In 2023, he was found guilty of a crime. This made him the first former president with a felony conviction. Still, he remained popular with many voters. In 2024, Donald Trump announced he would run for president again. Some people were surprised. Others were excited. He campaigned across the country, speaking about immigration, taxes, and national pride. He promised to make America strong again and to fix what he called a broken system. His opponent was Vice President Kamala Harris. The election was intense and emotional. In November 2024, Trump won. He became the 47th President of the United States, making history as the second person ever to serve two non-consecutive terms. On January 20, 2025, Donald Trump returned to the White House. He was 78 years old, the oldest person ever to become president. His new vice president was J.D. Vance, a younger politician with strong views. Trump began his second term with many executive orders. He changed immigration rules, restarted border policies, and created a task force to reduce government spending. He also gave pardons to people involved in the January 6th attack. These decisions caused debate across the country. In foreign affairs, Trump supported Israel during a conflict with Iran. He approved military strikes and helped negotiate a ceasefire. His actions were bold and controversial. Some praised him for being decisive. Others worried about the risks. Trump's second presidency was filled with strong opinions, fast decisions, and deep divisions. He continued to speak directly to the public, often using simple, powerful language. His leadership style remained the same: confident, direct, and focused on change. Chapter 8. A Divided World, a Lasting Impact. In 2025, Donald Trump is once again President of the United States. His return has sparked strong reactions, both in America and around the world. Some people feel hopeful, others feel worried. His leadership continues to shape global politics and public opinion. In Europe, many leaders are anxious. They fear that Trump's decisions may weaken international cooperation. Countries like Germany, France, and South Korea are trying to build new partnerships to protect their interests too. They want to stay strong, even if the US changes direction. But in other parts of the world, Trump is seen differently. In places like India, Brazil, Turkey, and China, many people believe he brings strength and clarity. They say he is bold and not afraid to make hard choices. Some even think he can help bring peace to troubled regions like Ukraine and the Middle East too. Trump's influence is also felt in global diplomacy. His actions have pushed countries to rethink their roles. Some are moving closer to the US, hoping for better deals. Others are stepping away, trying to become more independent. The world is becoming more fragmented, less united, more complex. Among young people, opinions are mixed. Some admire Trump's confidence and direct style. They see him as a symbol of change and strength. Others feel confused or upset. They worry about fairness, climate change, and the future of democracy. In schools and universities, students talk about Trump's leadership. They ask questions. What does it mean to be a strong leader? Can bold decisions bring peace or cause more problems? How should countries work together in a changing world? These questions help young people think deeply. They learn to listen, to debate, and to understand different views. Whether they agree with Trump or not, they are learning to be thoughtful citizens. Trump's return has also changed how leaders communicate. Many now use social media more often. They speak directly to the public just like Trump does. This makes politics feel closer, but also louder and more emotional. In 2025, Donald Trump remains a powerful figure. His ideas, actions, and style continue to shape the world. People may disagree about him, but no one can ignore him. His story teaches us that leadership is not just about power, it's about how that power is used and how it makes others feel. Chapter 9. Looking back, moving forward. Donald Trump's story is one of ambition, controversy, and bold decisions. From real estate towers to the White House, he built a life that captured attention across the world. His leadership style was strong and direct. His words often sparked debate. His actions changed laws, shaped opinions, and left a lasting mark on history. But beyond politics, Trump's journey invites deeper reflection. He showed how one person can rise, fall, and rise again. He proved that confidence can open doors, and that criticism can follow closely behind. His life reminds us that leadership is not just about winning. It's about responsibility, communication, and the way we treat others. For some, Trump is a symbol of strength. For others, he is a warning. But for everyone, his story is a lesson. It teaches us to ask questions, to listen to different voices, and to think carefully about the future we want to build. In classrooms, students learn about his presidency. They study his speeches, his decisions, and the reactions of the people. They talk about fairness, freedom, and the power of words. These conversations help young minds grow, not just in knowledge, but in empathy and understanding. In homes, families share opinions. Some agree, some disagree, but all are part of the same democratic process. Trump's legacy reminds us that every vote matters, every voice counts, and every leader leaves a trail behind. As we close this biography, we don't just look at Donald Trump, we look at ourselves. What kind of leaders do we admire? What kind of world do we want to create? What values do we carry forward? Donald Trump's story is still unfolding. But for now, we pause, we reflect, and we continue learning together. If you enjoyed this story about Donald Trump, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow and share more inspiring stories with you. Speech Balloon, leave a comment below. What did you learn from Trump's life? And don't forget to turn on the bell so you never miss a new video. Thank you for watching,